Hi, this is Greg Hughes from 90-Second Website Builder. I want to show you one of the new tools in version 10 of this great software that makes it really great for you to work with text that needs to wrap around an image. So we have a new tool here called Wrapping Text, which you'll see in your toolbox. It's in the section under Advanced Tools, but it's really very simple to use. It's actually very advanced behind the scenes, though, because what this tool does as far as writing code goes is amazing. You'll never see that because you'll do the easy part. So you click on the Wrapping Text box, and you simply draw a box where you want your text. You'll see there's already some text to work with. This is just a sample, and obviously you would edit this text because this is just sort of Latin text filler, but you can see you've made a text box. This works considerably different than the text tool, so be aware that you're doing something unique here. What it's really doing is creating a layer with text in it. And then you would just simply drag your image into this, the image that you want the text to wrap around. So I'm going to take an image that I have here and just set it in place. And as you can see, as I'm doing it, the text automatically wraps. Now, this may look very simple to do, and that's because it is. Like I said, what's happening behind the scenes is extremely complex. The software is writing code to simulate basically this wrapping effect. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of when you're using this tool is that because this is extremely complex behind the scenes, you may find that your text and the image might not look the same in every browser. So if you're going to use this tool, you want to make sure you test this in at least the 3 major browsers, Chrome, Firefox, maybe even Internet Explorer, and see if there's any fine-tuning that needs to happen. And if so, there's actually a fine-tuning tool. When you double-click on this text wrapping object, it will bring up the properties and allow you to fine-tune the pixels of the text. Now that's something you'll just have to play with. It goes as high as 10 and as low as -10, but these are actually 1/10 of a pixel in fine-tuning. So what that does is as you adjust this number, it makes the text smaller or larger as needed. So I'll show you what I mean. Right now it's at -0.2, which seems to be a good spot. So it'll default there. So if I were to preview this, you can see that the preview looks pretty good. That's exactly how it looks on my screen with the text wrapping around this image the way that it does. But if for some reason I had a problem, if I was trying this in a browser and it just didn't look right, and I felt like, well, this text needs to be maybe a little smaller, a little larger, you can do that with the fine tuning. And you just want to experiment with it, raise it or lower it. I'm going to exaggerate it to show you what it does. You would never do this, but since you can see how high it does go, you can fine tune this all the way up to 10.0. That's 10 whole pixels. Now again, this isn't going to look right. This is going to be an exaggeration of how far you can go with this fine tuning. Now watch what happens when I click the F5. You can see the text gets extremely large. And again, I would never make it like this, but you can see that's how much fine tuning you can do. That's the extreme end of the fine tuning you can do. So it's kind of good to know. And then of course the other direction, -10, which would make the text very, very small if you needed to. And again, we're exaggerating. We'll look at the preview and you can see the text goes so small you can't even read it. So somewhere in between those numbers is what you can fine tune the text to be. And again, usually a -0.2, just in other words, 2/10 of a pixel down will accommodate most situations, but that's something for you to play with and test. There's really not much more to it. Basically, that's all you do. Obviously, you edit this text. You don't want it to say, all this stuff. It'll be whatever your text is. The font and the style is all done here in the Style tab. Again, don't confuse this with the text object. You wouldn't go up here to edit the style. You do it inside the window that pops up here. And of course you would do that here. You would choose your text, the color of your text, and the size and all that. And of course, because this is a layer, you can actually have a border and you can have a background in this layer. If you want your text to be on top of some kind of a background, you can do that even with images and gradients and all the things that you would imagine you could do in a layer. You can do with this because technically that's what it is. So that's really all there is to it. You just basically drag the box out onto the canvas. You'll see some starter text. Move your image to wherever you want. If you want it to wrap like this, you put it up in the corner. You click F5 to see how it's going to look and do any fine tuning you may need to do. I've got mine set wrong. I better go back and fix that. And make it be exactly what you want. So here, I forgot to change this. Let me fix that for you. It's -0.2. I'll click OK. That should look better when I click F5 and There we go. That's exactly how I want it to look. Now remember, the text is going to wrap around the image, and some images are a little bit misleading because they sometimes have borders. This happens to be a transparent PNG, and so the text can come right up against it. If you happen to be using an image that has a background already in it, you're going to see that the text will not wrap as tightly. Let me see if I can find an example of that. I'm going to go get an image. Let's move this one out of the way. And let me go grab another image that may not be as great. So for example, this image might not look as great because it has a bit of a white space around it, see? And so you can see that the text is going to go up against the actual edge of the image. So you just want to be aware of the images you're using, that although that doesn't look bad. Just be aware of the effect that you want. So I like using transparent PNGs because the edge is a lot tighter, just has a little bit different effect. Again, you can do what you want and you can make the text wrap around any of your images. Just experiment with it and have fun with the new text wrapping tool in 90-second website builder.